What's up everybody, it's Owen here from Devil's Watches. Happy Friday, if it is Friday, or whatever day it is, no one knows. But I do know one thing, what we're going to talk about today in the video. So watch complications. Why are they so complicated? Are they even complicated? So today we're going to go through a few different watch complications and explain them and let you know what they are. So before we do that, please subscribe, hit the little bell, put a little like in the video, check us out on all our social media and head over to devilswatches.com and have a look at all our watches. It's formal Friday, so we're a bit more dressed up today, but we got watches for every occasion, so please check it out. So when you say a watch complication, what do you actually mean? So all a complication is a function that a watch provides that isn't telling the time. So anything that your watch does that isn't just telling the time is a complication. They use the word complication because it's complicated to do. I know in most places if someone say, oh, that's complicated, I don't want to do it. In watchmaking it's kind of the opposite. If someone says that's complicated, they want to do it. So it's a great way just for people to show what they can do, what their skill levels is. But a lot of people get scared off when they're in a situation, someone starts talking about like, oh, what complications does it have, or watch complications. And a lot of newcomers to the watch world or watch collecting will kind of get a little scared off that, oh, I don't know what to talk about when they say like calendars or whatever, jump hours, then you panic. But what I'm trying to explain to you in these series of videos is that they're simple. There's nothing complicated about it. Just because they have big words in front of them or they sound complicated or the dial looks like there's so much going on, they're really simple. And once you know the basics, then you can dive in deeper and find out more. But it's just to make people, the whole idea of this is to be able to let people be able to talk about watches and not feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. So we'll get into the video now. Please enjoy. We're going to do two series, one this week and one next week. So let's go. So the first complication and the most simplest complication, and which you probably all own without even knowing you have owned the complication, is the date function. So a date window is one of the most basic functions you'll find on a lot of watches. It was first brought out in the 1945 on the Rolex Date Just, one of the most famous watches with a date complication, but you can get this on any watch can have a date complication. There's three types of date complication you can have. You can have the date window, which is the most common with the date in the window. You can have a subdial with the date, kind of what it would look like on a chronograph, where you'd have a small subdial. I'll put a picture up of one and it goes around. And then you can also have a date pointer, which is where the outer ring will have the days of the month, and you'll have what looks like a second hand and will just change every day, tick around for the different kind of days. So that's your date function. And then to lead on from that, you have your day, which is the next stage. So on your day, you'll have obviously have your date, and you'll also have the day. Some cool things with day dates is you can get a lot of watches that will have two languages on them. So you could have, if you're getting a Seiko or maybe some Japanese watch, you could have it in Japanese, and then you could change it to have it in English. So a lot of them just would have the symbol of whatever the day is in Japan. And that's a cool thing to have. But the same as the date window, it's a very basic complication and you can get it on a lot of watches and it's accessible to everyone. Next up on the list we have calendars. So the different types of calendars that watches have as complications. And with a lot of complications in watches, they are fairly pointless, but they look nice, they're hard to do, so people take pleasure and watch brands take pleasure out of being able to prove that they can make these. So it's like buying a Ferrari that can go 200 miles an hour, but you live in a country where the top speed on the road is 80 miles an hour. You know, it's pointless having all the extra speed, but you want to have it just so you can have it, and the brands make these so they can prove that they can make it. But the first of the calendars is a triple calendar, which sounds complicated and sounds fancy, but pretty much it's just the next step on from the day. So I'll show you your day, your date, and your month. If you're forgetting the month that you're in, you know, might be something wrong there. You should be knowing that. But that's the next one. And then next it goes on to the annual calendar, which is just the next step up. So you have your day, date, month. Thing with the annual calendar is it does not take into consideration leap years. So it will always go to the 31st of February every year. So on the 1st of March, you'll always have to change your watch back. Isn't a big deal, you're doing it once a year or once every 4 years, but a lot of people would see that as a negative because, you know, they're so meant to be so complicated that these aren't the problems. So this leads us into the next one, which is a perpetual calendar, which is kind of the top end of calendars on your watch. And it's the same as the annual calendar. It will show you the date, month, year, but this does take into consideration the leap years. So you'll never have to change your watch. Well, the next time you'll have to change your watch is in 2100, when they're going to skip a leap year, because every couple of 100 years they skip a leap year. I found the formula. So if the year can be divided by 100 and not divided by 400, they'll skip the leap year. So 2000, they had a leap year because 1000 goes into it and 4000 goes into it. But 2100, they won't have a leap year because 100 goes into it, but 400 doesn't go into it. So there's no leap year in 1700, 1800, 1900, 2000 was a leap year, 1100, there won't be a leap year. So there's a fun fact for you, but that's the next time you'll have to change it. Yeah, so that's all the calendars. They're pretty much similar and they move up, but I'll put pictures up, and some of the perpetual calendars that the likes of Patek make are just beautiful works of art that you cannot underestimate how much time, effort and skill have gone into them. Are they worth the value to you as a tool, which a lot of people would say that a watch is a tool. Myself, a watch is a tool. It does a certain function. But yeah, these are just beautiful. They're just kind of showing what they can do. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the calendars. And the last one we're going to talk about for this week's video. Next week we'll be doing another section on more complications. But the last one we're going to talk about this week is moon phases. And my second favorite complication, there's one more that I like that I'll have next week. But yeah, a moon phase, I'll put a picture up here, is when you'll have a dial, or it can also be done by a hand, that will go with the lunar cycles. So I think a lunar cycle is 29.5 days long. So most dials will have 2 lunar cycles on the dial. So they'll have 59 teeth. So 2 cycles. So there'll be moon on top, moon on bottom, and that will spin every day. It will click, and then the next moon will come up, and then it'll go again. So I think with them wheels, it will stay on target for close to 3 years, and then you'll have to reset it again, because it will lose time. And then the more high-end watches will have 135 T, which means that you'll lose a day every, I think, 120 something years. And then there is some watches that I'll put up here that's claimed that it will last 2 million years. 2 million years without having to change the moon phase. It will stay on track. I'll put the watch up there, but the moon phase for me is one of the best looking complications. Like a lot of the complications, if you're living your life off moon patterns, or you need to know when to go out and howl at the moon, you know, this might suit for you. Or if you're doing some pagan rituals, get a moon phase. But yeah, these are high-end complications. But in saying that, and with a lot of things now in the watch world, just because something is high-end doesn't mean they can't do it for a cheap price. The way the world works now, you can make anything for a cheap price. It's just what the quality is. So just because a watch has a moon phase or has some high-end complication doesn't mean you have to break the bank to buy it. There's plenty of watches out there that can have moon phases or these date functions or the calendars at a price that a normal person can afford. So you don't be going out and buying your Pateks or your 2 million year lunar cycle calendar. But yeah, in my opinion, this is my second favorite. It's one of the best looking. It's one that it just shows something different, and it's a talking point. If someone sees your watch and they say, "What's that?" you can say, "Oh, look at this," and you can tell them what the moon is going to be like outside, and you'll be able to track when there's a full moon or half moon or quarter moon. So yeah, it's just another thing just to show what they can do. Like all these things, it's really, and watchmaking, it's one of them things that it's got to the stage now where the main function of a watch isn't really to tell time, because everyone has the time in their pocket, or you know that they have certain ways of telling the time. All you have to say, Alexa, what time is it, and it'll tell you the time. So what the thing is, what with watches now is they're just trying to show what they can do and how they can put a certain watch into, like, all this technology into such a small piece. It's just great to see. It's just people using their imagination, trying different things. So yeah, comment your favorite complication below. Let us know. We'll do some more next week. My favorite one will be next week. But yeah, please let us know if you have any pictures. Please send them to us on social media of your complications. And once again, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.